Starship 38 did great on its static fire, and SpaceX is already working on the pad. Is this the final modification? We take a deep dive into the latest SpaceX update. Starship Plan 2.0, the world of spaceflight will never be the same again. Pad 2 is making huge progress. NASA introduces class of 2025. You won't believe who made it in. And a NASA panel has voiced concern for the Starship HLS progress, but are they right, or is this political? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. SpaceX has once again surprised us as if it were nothing. On the 22nd, they successfully static-fired all 6 engines aboard Ship 38, the Flight 11 ship and the last Starship of the old generation. Wait, 6? Aren't they supposed to do 1 first? That's correct. On October 20th of 2023, Ship 26 demonstrated a single-engine static, with SpaceX later confirming that it was a flight-like startup for a Starship deorbit burn. Ever since then, SpaceX has tested a single engine for each ship, each time demonstrating a flight-like startup. But that was not the case this time. On the morning of the 23rd, the ship transport stand that brought Ship 38 to the launch site was staged next to the pad in preparation for a D-stack, meaning that Ship 38 would not perform a single-engine static fire. That's weird. Maybe they didn't need it this time, or maybe they just decided to skip it to account for the lost time? Later in the day, the propellant lines that were used during the ship's testing were disconnected, and Ship 38 was then lifted off of the OLM and placed back atop its transport stand. Just a few hours later, at midnight, Ship 38 was rolled back to the production site, where it will now undergo final pre-flight checkouts. And with Ship 38 destacked, crews could immediately start demodding the OLM for a booster in preparation for a launch. Although there were only 2 different ships static fired on the OLM, it is sad to see this setup go away. It reminds me of the suborbital stands, and it really looked nice. However, on the other hand, the downtime that will occur during the transition to a new generation of ships will ensure that SpaceX can complete the repair work at Massey's. Because that's a little messy. Huh. After all, Ship 39 hasn't started stacking in Mega Bay 2 yet, and Massey's is a safer option for testing. Speaking of new beginnings, did you know that a single jet of water could shoot over 400 feet into the air? Neither did I, but SpaceX showed us that it's possible. Throughout the week, SpaceX has been testing the new and improved deluge system for Pad B. This is the heart of the new pad and a very important milestone. Seeing it work like this is an excellent sign for a short delay between version 2 and 3 Starship launches. And let me tell you, it was so cool. I mean, literally, high-pressure cold water. Alright, you get the joke. During the second attempted Ship 38 static fire, SpaceX wanted to test some other things while the road was closed. And not just once either. 12 minutes after the first test, SpaceX once again spooled up the deluge farm on the brand new Pad 2 construction and conducted what seems to be a full-pressure deluge test. Holy cow, that is a lot of water. So much water that it actually overflowed the trench. SpaceX has water sumps at the bottom of the trench that will eventually be used to drain the collected water, but we suspect they are not being used right now as they purge the entire system multiple times. A water sump? A water sump is used in a lot of traditional places, although we aren't aware of the exact type of sump SpaceX is using. They are used to collect water accumulated in areas and transport it to other locations, in this case, back to the tanks. This already is a huge step from the current deluge plate used at Pad 1, where most of the water is lost. After Flight 11, all eyes will be on this pad and the new version 3 prototypes, and I am delighted to report that progress on Pad 2 has been spectacular, to say the least. The system can roughly be divided into overall building construction and system integration. The trench itself is now complete, with very little work remaining. The berm housing all the infrastructure that could be found inside the OLM ring on Pad 1 is progressing fast as well. Protective shielding is creeping up the angled side more and more. The mount itself, including hold-down clamps, arms, and the booster quick disconnects, is already in its final stages as well. The tower is almost done and the chopsticks are moving. The only thing still missing is the ship quick disconnect arm. If I had to guess, I'd say that this will take another 2 months to complete. SpaceX might be ready in early December. 3 episodes ago, I talked about a brand new test tank. And if you haven't seen it already, go watch it after this video. It is free and it helps support the channel. To summarize, this test tank consists of a forward integrated hot staging ring, as can be found on the version 3 boosters, and a common dome, both of which are positioned atop 2 additional rings, resulting in a test tank that is 10 rings tall. On the 11th, SpaceX rolled the old can crusher stand into Megabay 1, where the test tank, designated as Booster 18.3, was placed atop the stand. 4 days later, the stand and the test tank were rolled out of the bay. After sitting in the ring yard for another 4 days, it began its rollout to Massey's. But what about it? What can we really expect from this tank? Excellent question. It may be testing the structural integrity of several components. SpaceX is learning, and you should too. Have a look at this. Today's sponsor is BootDev. This platform offers a fun and smart way to learn backend coding. It doesn't matter if you have previous experience with coding or just starting your programming journey. Did you know that backend developers in the US make a median salary of over $100,000? What's more is that programmers are often given the option to work remotely. Learning with BootDev is fun too. Bam! I got XP. You are building real projects just like you will in your future job. Boots, this little bear wizard, is ready to guide you through all of your lessons. This personal AI tutor always has the full context of what you are learning. Instead of just giving answers, it can nudge you back on track and ask follow-up questions. If you look at the platform, all content is free to read and watch. If you decide to upgrade to a paid membership, you unlock all interactive features and the AI assistant. Your progress is tracked and clever game mechanics help to keep you motivated. Try BootDev today and save using my code. It will get you 25% off your first year on the annual plan. Alright, all smart. On we go with Test Tank 18.3. Can we learn some more? I think we can. First, we have the brand new and improved dome used for staging. SpaceX could have configured this old can crusher to accept a cable that can be connected to the bottom side of this dome to pull it straight down. Although the amount of force this stand can pull down with is unknown, it may be better to make a separate test article for this. Alternatively, it is likely that SpaceX is testing the new grid fin enclosures. The grid fin what? These enclosures are a new addition to the new generation of boosters. Currently, the grid fin motors are situated above the forward dome. Well, that is hard to do now. On the new generation of boosters, there is no space above the forward dome. So the grid fins move down the booster, further out of the ship's plume during staging. This should reduce the amount of warping on the grid fins, but it introduces a new challenge. The grid fins are now inside the liquid methane tank. Is that not asking for a disaster? That's why SpaceX engineered a housing for the grid fin motor assembly that separates the grid fins from the direct contact of subcooled liquid methane. That makes me feel better. The only testing we can most likely rule out for this test tank is anything that includes the loading of a cryogenic liquid. And the only reason we can rule this out is that there is a giant hole in the middle of the common dome where the transfer tube is installed. Yeah, that would not work. Before we move on to talk about the giant update SpaceX gave us, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a wise supporter for extra content. Up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. Also check out raptor-roost.com for launch viewing tickets. Flight 11 is around the corner and there is simply no better spot to watch from. Now for the fun part of this episode. I have a significant update from SpaceX. I call it the Starship Plan 2.0. While SpaceX has been busy getting the basics sorted out with Starship development over the past few years, it is now slowly transitioning into the next phase. The master plan for SpaceX's and Starship's future. This next phase is something the world has yet to see. One crucial component here will be spaceports. Where that word never really fit in past decades due to very low launch cadences, SpaceX wants to turn it into what the name actually stands for. They recently posted a massive update on their website. And they began by stating that launch sites of the future need to be fully operationalized, much like an airport. That means multiple launches per day from multiple providers, able to launch when ready to support a variety of vehicles and missions. So why are they saying this? Because the stated production number of 3 Starships per day is not a joke. It's not exaggerated or fake news. It's the plan, and the rest of the industry is not prepared. After all, it's not just SpaceX expanding, and this brings a whole new level of operations. Their Falcon rockets are already launching every couple of days, and they coordinate with other providers, sometimes stepping back to let others go first. To handle the current pace, SpaceX has invested in tools for tracking weather and launch ranges, streamlined communications, and will soon produce its own commodities like methane and oxygen for Starship launches. And why are they doing this? Because they must. No one else is planning this level of launch operations for the future. Current systems are not capable of handling the load, and SpaceX wants to ensure that it's not hindering others by launching 100 times more often than everyone else combined. Did you really think that building a Mars colony would be a quiet and smooth operation? Another problem is the people living close by to such a true-to-life spaceport. Having several rocket launches per day, not even speaking of dozens, will bring its own challenges. But there is light at the end of the tunnel of what's to come. Looking at Falcon 9 and its development makes it clear. These are 2 images of SpaceX's exclusion zones for a Falcon 9 launch in 2015 and a Falcon Heavy launch in 2024. Even though Falcon Heavy is much larger, the exclusion zone implemented was much smaller. Why? As rocket technology matured, much smaller exclusion zones were sufficient to handle the danger. The same thing has already happened and will happen more in the future for SpaceX's Starship. Starship's liquid oxygen and methane fuel is less studied, so safety zones have been overly large. To address that data gap, SpaceX, in collaboration with NASA, has conducted tests on Methelok's rocket impacts. What exactly happens if a Starship explodes compared to when a Falcon 9 explodes, which is fueled with RP-1? This let them create a data-driven model for safer and smaller clear zones. They are sharing this with the FAA, NASA, and others to help the industry. According to SpaceX, proposed clear zones for Starship in Florida won't affect other launch sites or traffic routes. SpaceX has already proposed clear zones for various Starship operations. These will help guide NASA's decision-making process, and this isn't an easy decision to make. As said, this will transform the Space Coast like nothing else before. Stepping from a few launches per year to currently more than 100 and in the future more than 1,000 will change everything. And the US only has a few launch sites, with Cape Canaveral being key for many satellite orbits. SpaceX operates pads in Florida, Texas, and Vandenberg, with plans for additional Starship pads such as at Space Launch Complex 37. Their Falcon launches have minimal impact on fishing, shipping, or aviation. Thanks to close cooperation with the FAA and Coast Guard, airspace often reopens minutes after launch. Flight 10, for example, saw airspace cleared in 7 to 10 minutes after liftoff without issues. As Starship gains flight history, its hazard zones will shrink, similar to those of Falcon 9, which have decreased by 66% since 2022 alone. After all, I am running a YouTube channel about all this. You won't believe how often I am being approached by people still believing that all the things SpaceX is saying about Starship must be a joke. No, they are not. This is the plan, and it will happen soon. So what do you think? How will the world change with operational Starships? What will this future bring for us? I am eager to read your thoughts and dreams in the comments. How soon? Let's do our Flight 11 launch date prediction. Rejoice, we have a date, and it is extremely close to what I predicted right after Flight 10. October 5th was my estimate, and now we have a notice for, drumroll, October 6th. We obtained this information from a local notice to mariners published by the US Coast Guard. While this isn't a confirmed launch date, the past has taught us that these are highly reliable indicators for SpaceX's launch intent. And everything we see at Starbase supports this as well. Usually there are around 2 weeks between the final static fire of a ship and a launch. This will be the final launch of a version 2 Starship, and I'd like to watch it with all of you. Watch out for a stream notification, Flight 11 is close. Speaking of coming changes, NASA has introduced its newest generation of space explorers, welcoming 10 astronaut candidates who emerged from a competitive selection process involving more than 8,000 applicants from across the United States. When it comes to NASA astronauts, only the best of the best make the cut. Congratulations. Representing the agency's 24th astronaut class, the chosen 10 candidates will now undergo nearly 2 years of intense training before becoming eligible for missions to low Earth orbit, the Moon, and Mars. Acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy welcomed the group during a ceremony at Johnson Space Center in Houston, stating that together we'll unlock the golden age of exploration. The candidates bring exceptional credentials from military, science, and engineering backgrounds. NASA ensures that its astronaut corps possesses a diverse skill set. One of the fresh NASA astronauts even has previous experience in space. Do you remember Anna Menon? She recently flew as a mission specialist and medical officer aboard SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission in 2024. The mission achieved a new female altitude record and the first commercial spacewalk alongside completing around 40 research experiments. Menon previously worked as a biomedical flight controller in mission control at NASA's Johnson Space Center before changing over to SpaceX as a senior engineer. And she's not the only ex-SpaceX employee in the 2025 astronaut class. Her colleague Yuri Kubo is a former SpaceX launch director with 12 years of experience at the company. With these latest additions, NASA has now recruited 370 astronaut candidates since selecting the original Mercury 7 in 1959. Here is to thousands more in the future. We stay with NASA, but change over to a single candidate preparing for a mission to Saturn's moon Titan. NASA's groundbreaking Dragonfly rotorcraft is soaring through critical development milestones. Man, I cannot wait for this mission. Imagine aerial footage from Saturn's moon Titan. Oh my god. I mean, it is a car-sized and nuclear-powered flying drone, and it'll be delivered to Titan. Pinch me. The mission is scheduled for launch in July 2028 aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy. Recent testing activities have validated key systems essential for Dragonfly's exploration of Titan's largely unexplored surface. Month-long rotor performance tests under Titan-like atmospheric conditions have been performed at NASA's Transonic Dynamics Tunnel in Langley. Engineers used these tests to analyze stress loads, vibrations, and the aeromechanical performance of the craft. Be thorough, we want to see it fly. NASA Goddard scientists completed the Ion Trap Mass Spectrometer, a core element of DRAMS, the Dragonfly Mass Spectrometer, which will identify Titan's chemical composition and search for prebiotic compounds. Mars will soon not be the only celestial body we are checking for signs of life. The 2030s promise to be incredibly exciting. Another item that has been validated is thermal protection. Dragonfly's instruments and systems are covered in a 7.5 centimeter layer of solemite-based foam insulation. Protection from the moon's extremely low temperature of -185 degrees Celsius is crucial for the mission's planned 3-year surface exploration operation. 3 years! Teams at Lockheed Martin completed fabrication and thermal testing of Dragonfly's aeroshell heat shield and backshell structure, ensuring the protective casing can survive Titan's intense atmospheric entry conditions. Dragonfly's mission will formally begin its integration and test phase in January 2026, marking the transition from development to spacecraft construction as NASA prepares to go where no one has gone before once again. With Dragonfly booked to fly on a SpaceX Falcon Heavy, it will add one more flight to the company's launch schedule. And that is a great segue to the next topic. It should not come as a surprise, but SpaceX has achieved unprecedented dominance in the global space launch industry, and the numbers are truly staggering. According to the latest market share report, the company launched 88.5% of all satellites during the second quarter. Keep in mind that this number includes all commercial launch providers as well as all launches by national agencies. And it looks like SpaceX is on track to achieve the 90% market share that CEO Elon Musk predicted for 2025. In the second quarter of 2025, a total of 1,198 spacecraft were launched worldwide by all service providers combined. Now hold on to your seatbelt. Out of these, 1,060 were launched aboard SpaceX rockets. Comparing the mass to orbit during the period results in equally impressive numbers. SpaceX's share of the total 743,770 kilograms is 86%. That means the company has carried more than 639 metric tons to orbit. And keep in mind, these figures are for one single quarter, 3 short months. The runner-up in Q2 is China's primary state-owned space contractor CASC. But besides being number 2 on the list, it only delivered 50 spacecraft compared to SpaceX's 1,060. That is a ratio of more than 20-1 in favor of SpaceX. Musk's response to the report suggests even greater dominance ahead. Once Starship is flying frequently with real payloads next year, then SpaceX will probably deliver more than 95% of total Earth payload to orbit, despite others, especially China, continuing to grow. And in 2027, it could be as high as 98%. Oh my god, SpaceX is failing. Yeah, I am just joking, but while Falcon 9 is running like a clockwork, Starship still needs to mature to be an operational launch vehicle and evolve into multiple specialized versions. NASA's Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel has raised concerns about SpaceX's ability to deliver a functional lunar lander in time. The HLS, or Human Landing System, is NASA's chosen lunar lander for the ambitious Artemis 3 mission scheduled for 2027. Panel members who visited SpaceX's Starbase facility in Texas issued a warning. The Human Landing System version of Starship may be years late. Keep in mind that these opinions are of a political nature. One of the biggest concerns for the panel was the yet-to-be-demonstrated orbital propellant transfer. SpaceX, according to the company president Gwynne Shotwell, aims to start testing this vital technology for the HLS program in 2026. Panelist and NASA safety analyst Paul Hill doubts the progress and fears delays. He characterized the HLS schedule as significantly challenged and estimated it could be years late for a 2027 Artemis 3 moon landing. Despite these challenges, the panel also acknowledged SpaceX's unique position in the industry. Paul Hill noted that there is no competitor, whether government or industry, that possesses this full combination of factors that yield such a high manufacturing and flight tempo. And the panel's concerns extend beyond SpaceX's lander. Panel member Bill Bray cited both HLS and Axiom Space's development of new lunar spacesuits as having aggressive schedules, warning that any delay in the delivery of these programs places the planned lunar landing in jeopardy. Now, this is just my opinion, but to me it feels a bit misplaced. SpaceX is already, and Starship will soon give NASA unmatched abilities. Even if a 2027 moon landing can't be accomplished, the wait might be worth more than a blue moon lander. But that is just my opinion. What do you think? That's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. And if you want to learn more about how SpaceX's Raptor engine works, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. And search for prebiotic dude, the 2025 resulting yes.